We've listened to your feedback, and this year we bring you a strong program of speakers and new ways to connect. Keynotes this year include Nokia, IonQ, PsiQuantum, Toshiba Europe, and Boeing. Quantum is moving fast, and 2025 is a turning point. Quantum computers are now a real threat to today's cryptography. That makes quantum-safe communication urgent. We're also seeing breakthroughs in connectivity, photonic platforms, and chip manufacturing. These are the building blocks of the future quantum internet and computing. End users are now setting real-world requirements, and investors are watching closely for scalable solutions. The OPTICA Summit brings all of this together. Leaders from communications, computing, foundries, and enabling technology will tackle these important strategic issues. It's a rare chance to align innovation with market needs, strengthen supply chains, and shape the next phase of commercialization. And for the first time, we've added an exhibition space, driven by record demand. It all happens here at M-Shed on November the 11th and 12th. Early bird registration closes on September the 10th, so don't miss it. I hope to see you in Bristol.
On Tuesday, 9th of September, OPTICA will host an online industry meeting on quantum key distribution. The topic could not be more timely, because in today's world of geopolitical tension, the need for secure data transmission has never been greater. Earlier this year, we saw IonQ, one of the leading quantum computing companies, acquire ID Quantique, the market leader in quantum key distribution. This marks what I believe is the start of a trend, bridging together two quantum applications that until now have been developing in parallel. So this is the perfect moment to bring our quantum computing and quantum key distribution communities together at OPTICA. Here's the chance to showcase breakthrough technology in front of leading quantum telecom system users, including Thales Alenia Space, represented by Laurent de Forges-Barny, and British Telecom, represented by Kathy White. How will quantum computing companies use QKD as a secure interconnect? For 90 minutes, experts will explore real-world challenges, extending quantum entanglement over long distances, overcoming noise and loss in quantum channels, integrating QKD into existing telecom infrastructure. Key topics will include advances in quantum repeaters, new cryptography protocols, and practical applications in finance, healthcare, and government. Let's get entangled and let the discussion begin. It was an easy joke, right? Let's get entangled. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining the OPTICA Online Industry Meeting on QKD. We have been working all summer on this. We didn't go to the beach. We didn't take any holidays every day from Monday to Sunday to make sure that all of you are here. So you can find the fantastic lasers from Chilas, the fantastic software from OptiWave, the key software solutions of BPI Photonics, all of you here doing business. Over the next 90 minutes, we are going to talk about QKD. And for doing that, it is really important that you understand the philosophy of this meeting. This is not a webinar. This is an online gathering for companies, and you are all here to find potential partners, suppliers, and customers. This meeting is free for all of you, and that's thanks to our sponsors today, coming all the way from beautiful Switzerland. Ligentech is here providing silicon nitride photonic integrated circuits. You're looking for software. If you're looking for software for simulation, any photonic structure, OptiWave is your platform and one of the key companies in the QKD ecosystem. Here, supplying technology for all you to partner with. One of the key success stories of Europe in QKD. Thank you very much, Team Quantum, for being for us today. Today, we have a really great set of companies. This is how it works. Most of you already know the rules. We have integrators and we have enablers. The integrators are here to try to supply challenges to the companies in the room. Try to tell them this is what we need. This is our shopping list. Thales, BT, and Juniper are here to find this kind of partnerships. And as enablers, we have Team Quantum, Chilas, Twin Photonics, KETS, Quantum, QTI, ID Quantique, Cubert, HEQA, Quside, QSA Technology, Toshiba, OptiWave, and coming all the way from beautiful Barcelona, LuxQuanta. We have, of course, this is our first meeting after summer KKD. Mark your calendars, because on the 23rd of September, just 2 weeks away, we have the new space meeting with ESA, NASA, and Safran as integrators. Do not miss that one, but today is all about QKD. Let me remind that all of you, most of you are corporate members. Those of you who are not corporate members, what are you waiting for? Submit the membership form. Most of you are corporate members. Please make sure you access all the market reports. You come to our events. You come to Malaga in a couple of weeks. Make sure that all of you interact and make the most out of your membership. And also remember that we had the biggest industry library with all the market reports, presentation, roadmaps, tutorials, all of it available for you. Optica.org/market reports. Go there. We actually improve the interface, download everything because everything is for free for our corporate members. And also, let me also remind that this meeting is live in YouTube. So we're in Zoom here, we're in YouTube there. Hello, YouTubers in the world. For those of you who have any question, just write in the chat and I will read it in the room. But allow me to go back to Zoom. For those of you here with me in Zoom, just make sure that you interact, you use the channel, you use the chat as much as possible, and you connect with all the potential partners, suppliers, and customers on QKD. The chat is the biggest tool for potential connections today. So use it, abuse it, write down there what you are, who you are, what kind of business do you want to do. Dr. John Pugh, from University of Bristol, all the way to being the director of PIC and Quantum Technologies at Optica. What's going to happen over the next 90 minutes?
Well, thank you so much, Jose. I'm delighted to be co-moderating today's OPTICA Online Industry Meeting on QKD with you. So I'd like to thank in advance all our speakers for joining the meeting today and being prepared to answer all your questions. So please keep them coming in the chat. We'll welcome you to unmute and join the conversation. So we're about to dive into some truly exciting territory, real-world deployment of QKD. So to kick us off, we have two distinguished voices who are putting theory into practice. Catherine White, Research Technical Manager from BT, and Chris Evans, CEO of KETS Quantum Security. Catherine brings the perspective of a major telecom operator, integrating quantum-safe technologies into operational networks. And Chris represents KETS, with groundbreaking work in chip-scale photonic-based QKD hardware. And together they'll anchor this discussion in practical realities of building secure, future-ready communication infrastructure. So without further delay, please join me in welcoming Catherine White and Chris Irvin to deliver the opening collaboration. Please share your slides. The floor and the attention of everyone is yours.
Thank you very much, John. Can you see my slides?
In full PowerPoint view, so if you go into presenter mode, it'll be fine. There we are. Yes, we see them. Thank you.
Sorry.
It's fine now. So.
Okay, so hi everyone. I'm going to talk to you today about BT's experience with integrating quantum comms over the last few years. Hopefully my slides are now in correct mode. My name is Catherine White and John has introduced me. I have been hands-on with these systems for a few years now. So first I'm just going to talk about why. I mean, why look at quantum key distribution? And this is actually hotly debated. And of course, we do have post-quantum cryptography. We do have algorithms which are somewhat quantum resistant. And those are a very scalable and potentially cost-effective approach, although not always, depends on what you have to upgrade. So, of course, those are a very important mitigation against the risk of quantum computers. But for some use cases, you really wouldn't want your key exchange to have been compromised by some computational advance or algorithmic advance, and all of those previous little handshakes to suddenly be compromised such that the adversary could unwind all of your encrypted materials from the past and read all of your text. So for some use cases where big links are being built or critical links are being built, there is a value in having a technology such as quantum key distribution, which is secure against all advances in computation. Now, there is no classical technology that has that property for key exchange. Now, of course, authentication is a very necessary security property. If you don't authenticate your key exchange, then you don't know who you're sharing your secret key with. This is a property of classical key encapsulation and key exchange algorithms as well. For example, module lattice key exchange mechanism, which is the new NIST recommended candidate for key exchange. So absolutely, quantum key distribution must be authenticated. Authentication, even if you do it with a PQC algorithm, such as MLDSA, which is only computationally safe, you could argue that the authentication is used live, it's used in real time. And so if there is a break, then the attacker has got no ability to unwind the authentications that happened in the past. So it doesn't have that same threat to your past data. Of course, we do also have information theoretics methods of authenticating QKD very much based on the long symmetric strings that you can generate with QKD. Scaling those kind of solutions does require a little bit more innovation. However, there are techniques, and all in all, there are use cases for QKD. However, we do need, as I mentioned in Challenge 2, we do need to help cryptographers and decision makers to have tools and understand when selecting QKD can be a proportionate, technology that's genuinely adding value to their overall system security. We also need to show that the technology is ready, and we'll come back to that. And we need to evolve the technology, making it longer in terms of its reach, or rather over a longer reach, and having better scalability, and we'll come back to that. And of course, we need to integrate QKD into existing networks, and that's why we're here today. So just a bit of a history of BT's work in QKD. Back in the 90s, when BT used to build devices to quite a high degree, we had some of the first implementations of QKD done by Paul Townsend. And since then, we've had a number of integrations, which I will now talk a little bit about. So in 2019, we worked with the UK Quantum Hub and ID Quantique to build a link between Astral Park, BT's research site, and Cambridge University. And this involved 4 QKD links, which were like this, and they were co-propagated with classical data on the same fiber. It was multiplexed. The quantum channel was at 1310 nanometers, which was not so good in terms of transmission, but it was optically far away from the classical channels. And, we did have some performance issues with that co-propagation, the way we did it back then. And as we increased the classical power, we did see reduced performance in the links, but nonetheless, they worked, and we had stable key rates between the sites. So moving on, we then had done a number of internal tests with Toshiba up to, before 2021, and we then went out to a customer who was the National Composite Centre, linking them up to their Centre for Modelling and Simulation, and we gave them a secured link. So this was the first UK customer trial of QKD used for real data, and they sent data from their braiding machines, which are smart manufacturing facilities, to their simulating computers, and it was an extremely stable link. It ran for weeks and actually ran for many months as long as it was installed, showing the actual real-world viability of this technology even several years ago. And then talking about scalability, we started to trial KETS, who is a UK startup building chip-based QKD. So these are QKD transmitters and receivers based on photonic integrated circuits. Now, obviously, something that's based on a reproducible integrated circuit has the potential to be scalable just in terms of volumes and potentially in terms of costs. So we worked with them over an in-field fiber from Industrial Park, and we worked with Juniper to integrate that into IPsec, so into a layer 3 encryption. And I know we've got Juniper here as well, so we'll probably hear a bit more about this. But basically, that was a very nice integration of a technology that would potentially allow us to route our data by a completely separate out-of-band path to the quantum channel, separate fiber or whatever. So a little bit more detail of the performance and the setup. So we did write a paper, and there were a few interesting details about IPsec and the way in which the integration actually manifests. Perhaps a little bit more work to be done in the standards on making technologies like IPsec fully ready for QKD. And finally, I want to talk about the Toshiba BT Quantum Safe Metro Network in London. So there's a conference paper there. This is something that's been deployed now for over 3 years. We have customers such as HSBC, and we have also more recently a program to extend connectivity out to Equinix co-location data centers, where multiple different customers can quite quickly and cheaply get keys from QKD. As mentioned there, HSBC have been quite open about some of the use cases they found for this technology. This is all in pilot stage, I emphasize. But going back to our challenges, one of the biggest challenges is, of course, assurance and trust in the implementation. And so with that, both KETS and Toshiba and some other partners, including the National Physical Laboratory and HSBC and universities, have joined together with BT in something called the QAssure project, which is not creating an assurance scheme for QKD. It's creating a lot of background work towards a UK assurance scheme for QKD. So this includes National Physical Laboratory independent testing and metrology of agreed sets of tests which are required for a QKD system. It includes software quality, post-processing algorithm validation, design of trusted nodes, formal verification where appropriate, the big picture, the supply chain and operations. And it also includes an innovative approach to bring all these things together into a type of assurance which the NCSC has signposted called principles-based assurance. And I'll just briefly point out that you can read a lot more about that on the NCSC website, or linking out to this claims, arguments, evidence website. We're simply following this approach. We're not backed by these groups. However, it is a powerful approach to create a body of knowledge and a body of arguments. And we hope that we'll be able to tell you much more about that in due course. So over to KETS.
Thank you, Kathy. I'm just going to get mine shared. You might have to stop sharing yours.
Yes.
Almost there. There we go, I think. Hi, folks. My name is Chris Irvin. I'm the CEO and one of the co-founders of KETS. A big thank you to the organizers for the opportunity to talk to you today. And I'm going to follow along with some of the things that Kathy has said, show you some of our latest systems and really lean into some of the things we've been doing with them in the QAssure project. So a bit about us. KETS is a UK-based QKD and QRNG technology company, and we really pioneered this chip-based approach to quantum safe solutions. You can see one of our beautiful chips here. And for size reference, that thing is like 1/10 the size of your pinky fingernail with all the functionality you need to do a QKD transmitter, at least optically. And our roadmap is really centered around miniaturization, because this is what we believe is going to enable embedding integration at scale into different platforms, especially in telecoms infrastructure. Our solutions are already in production, but really this competitive value of ours lies in a roadmap to integration capability. We really think this is what leads to scale in QKD, which we're just seeing the cusp of now as the interest level really has ramped up in the last 6 to 12 months. You get all sorts of benefits from chips. They're mass manufacturable by design. We're not reinventing any wheels. It's standard fabs. You get low swap solutions, so you can think about smaller form factors and embedding. And they're identical. They're just highly stable things. That means they're interoperable. We really don't think twice about connecting one of our transmitters to any one of our receivers or two receivers time shared in our labs. So this really is a network QKD device, moving away from sort of maybe the first generation, you might call it, of just point-to-point devices that sometimes get criticized. And we have these products in the field. Biggest to date is with a top 5 telecoms worldwide, top 5 worldwide telecoms provider, a top 20 telecoms provider, and a major Euro QCI customer. And just most recently, we had a large UK government contract to deliver our next generation QKD solution, which I'll show you now. This is KETS' latest system. It's a silicon chip-based QKD system, and really we put a lot of effort into starting to decrease cost and laying the groundwork for decreasing form factor. For those in the QKD space, the QKD protocol is a biased basis decoy state BB84, which is pretty typical of the protocols that you run. But the key here is at its heart is chips. So the optics are the size of a matchbook. These are silicon transmitter and receiver chips. You can see one of them, I think, in the hands of our engineer, Rob Starkwood. So again, fraction of the size of a pinky fingernail, and actually there's multiple devices on that chip. We just end up using a small corner of it. It's beautifully packaged into something the size of a matchbook, and then installed in our systems. And we also have chip-based quantum random number generators, completely optically self-contained. It just literally looks like an IC package mounted on our boards. The form factor right now is a 2U box, because that's what most folks want in test beds, but really there's lots of empty space that's enabling our roadmap to keep shrinking to smaller and smaller form factors. You can see some other pertinent stats in there in terms of like max distance and wavelength, all of the usual interfaces to get into the box, and secret key rates that go to the typical distances and sort of hundreds of kilobits per second over tens of kilometers. And I mean, in behind the scenes, it's the more boring stuff, but we've really put a lot of effort into reducing the assembly and commissioning times, because that ultimately goes towards sort of price and lead times, all the things that commercially people care about for these devices. So this is available now. By all means, if you're interested in trialing a system, get in touch. And then leaning into the security aspect of these devices, part of that UK government contract also saw us adding some security hardening to the system. So we very much followed and implemented the user accounts that are defined by the common criteria QKD protection profile. We sort of had different functions that we want to do to the device, and we mapped them to the different user accounts and locked it down in software. And then we also added some physical design features to prevent physical intrusion, basically unauthorized physical access to QKD. So harder enclosure materials, increased RF shielding, FPGA encryption, and the biggest things being lid open sensors. So these sensors get reported in software, memory register stores the status, and so after the lid has been opened, you can see like a snapshot of the software. New keys aren't made. There's a very specific reset procedure that only an administrator can do to reset the system. So very much adding the other security bits around the device that you need when you're installing them in mission critical systems. And then just as a means of like finishing, Kathy mentioned this QAssure project, which is starting to lay the groundwork for a UK and hopefully influencing wider global security assurance standards for QKD, because that's what most CISOs, CIOs, the exec suite need when they're assessing these devices and whether they can start trialing them and putting them into networks. And so as part of that, this was a bit nerve-wracking, but we need to be able to give our devices to third parties to vet them. And so we started by doing this working hand in hand with a national physics laboratory. So we sent one of our devices for a couple of months just over the summer. And they were testing various parameters of the specific quantum photonic states that we're producing in the transmitter, and also some properties of our receiver optics and detectors. And all of these were sort of testing out key quantities that really go into the security proofs and ensure the security of a QKD system. And besides third-party validation, we do this stuff in-house as well. So it also validated our own calibration and internal sort of Q&A procedures. We learned a lot as well about how to make it even easier in the future and future designs, so that third parties can vet these things. And it really gives us sort of like accurate sort of traceability, confirming our parameter values, measuring them over multiple hours and days, repeated over multiple power cycle system resets and with third-party equipment. So we're really, really excited about that, because very, very soon, all vendors are really going to want this sort of QKD vendor security assurance report. And we're going a very long ways in the QAssure project to building up the data that you need to go in that, so that when a big customer sort of shows up and wants to know why do you think you're secure, you just hand over this report. It's a really important project that BT has been leading in the UK, and dovetailing with other efforts in the EU, like the Nostradamus project and things like that. So that's just a quick snapshot of us as an enabler. Very, very happy to have any questions now or later. And please do get in touch if you have interest in our boxes and trialing them and anything else. Thanks very much, John.
Great. Catherine and Chris, thank you so much. There is a question for Catherine in the chat. Horatio Gasquet, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon for those of you in the UK. The question has to do with the comment that you made, Catherine, about IPsec standards not quite being quantum ready for this kind of quantum key distribution. And I was just curious, I kind of thought of them as orthogonal, and obviously that's not true, but can you share why there is an interaction between the IPsec standard and this technology?
Well, I can certainly share my opinion. I think that IPsec has been quite visionary. The contributors have been quite visionary in creating, in IKE version 2, Internet Key Exchange version 2, they have created a couple of RFCs that cover, mixing pre-shared keys, mixing keys and also using pre-shared keys for the encryption stage as opposed to the authentication stage. So RFC 8784, as John Sebastian mentions, does do that. And that is what can also be used to bring in keys from a QKD system. However, arguably, there's always room for iteration. I think arguably, and I did, in our paper, in our conference paper, you will find a brief discussion of this. Arguably, there's room to look at another RFC or an iteration on that RFC that's more designed for a system that's flowing keys in at a high rate, rather than just having a fixed pre-shared key, which is perhaps a little clunky to refresh. It can be done, and we did do it, and it works. But we should always be looking at things and say, how can they be better?
Because that's one of the advantages of QKD is, it's an out-of-band key generation that can potentially go much faster at rekeying the systems than you otherwise use with public key cryptography. So it would be nice to enable and benefit from that. Then you've got much smaller chunks of any given data using one particular key before you refresh it.
And we did benefit with, you can refresh them. It's just maybe it could be looked at whether there are more elegant ways to refresh it within that RFC. Yeah. Anyway, that's a topic for the standards committee, I think.
Great, thanks.
But it does show how important it is we build engagement with these standards developing organizations, both on the QKD side, but also on the protocol side that we want to work to consume QKD. I'm sure Gert can actually tell us a lot more about that.
And you mentioned the QAssure project that you're both working on, as well as Toshiba. So how do you see the outcomes of that project benefiting industries that rely on secure communication, such as finance and government? And as that project kind of nears its conclusion, what can we expect to see from the outcomes in the next year or two? Well,
it's been a relatively short project for a very large amount of work. I think that what we won't see on January the 31st is a new assurance scheme for QKD that's based in the UK, and that was not the objective. What we will see is demonstrable progress in external validation and verification of properties of both QKD hardware, such as the KETS and Toshiba systems being tested at National Physical Laboratory as well as in-house, and also work being done by people like King's College on verifying software quality for QKD. And that not only verifies individual items of software, but creates knowledge that is then shareable. And Loughborough University are actually helping to encode all of the different learnings from the different facets of the security analysis into these claims, argument, evidence forms. And I'm not going to say too much about it because I think they'll be wanting to publish and present on their work. But there are industries that already have a lot of history and experience about assuring complex systems. And these include the safety industry, aircraft, power stations, and the like, and working with experts from the assurance community, as we do with Loughborough, is helping us to see how you can handle complex critical systems in a even more systematic way, and be as sure as possible that not only have you covered all the bases, but also you're not preventing innovation, you're not locking out startups, you're creating a system where someone can come in with something brilliant and radical, and they might be a startup, and they can show that they are meeting the criteria that we need for security and reliability and everything else. So that's the aim, and we really hope to be publishing quite a lot more. So.
Great, thank you so much both. We've got a full agenda today, so we're going to move on, but feel free to carry this on in the chat. So as always in our online industry meetings, we've got a mix of end users or technology integrators and technology enablers who make it all possible. So I'd like to introduce Professor Haggai Eisenberg, who's the Chief Scientist at HEQA Security, to tell us briefly how their breakthrough technology is now being integrated into telecom infrastructure internationally. Haggai, the floor is yours. Please share your slide and tell us more.
Thank you very much, John. Can you see just a moment, can you see my slide now?
Just coming through. Yes, we see it. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you for having us here. I would like to tell you about HEQA Security in short. I'm Haggai Eisenberg, as I was kindly introduced. HEQA Security is based on the idea that when you take such a deep tech technology which involves multidisciplinary fields like physics, engineering, computer science, cybersecurity, and you try to build something, I like to call the right principle to make it real, to use the word of keep it simple, stupid, the KISS principle of engineering. And this is our motto, and this leads to all of our innovation, and I think to why customers like our products. If you try to build the simplest you can, so you get the smallest, you get the most affordable, cost-effective, you get the easiest solutions to integrate, and this is exactly what we are doing. We have a line of products. They all fit in a one new box, including our quite unique combination of both Alice and Bob plus KMS in a single one unit box that can serve as a secure node or as a relay if you want, just in one box. That increases security, but it also simplifies the maintenance and the installation of the systems. We aim for the simplest kind of installation. You don't need a PhD to install our system and to manage them. We also provide full management solutions. We also fit complex networks. You can fit our solutions to, of course, point to point, but we are today in the age of deployment of QKD, so networks are becoming topologically more complicated. We support all of these solutions. We aim we have a new solution almost ready that actually in a single box you can handle point to point, and eventually what matters is not just the cost of ownership of a system, it's the cost of ownership of a link. We should look for the price of links, and there are long links, short links, fast links, slow links. The question is, how do you optimize the cost of ownership for such a complicated system? And this is exactly what we are having. Our solutions can fit into existing networks or dark fiber. So we have both multiplexed O-band quantum solutions or solutions for dark fibers. Usually customers like that when they want an extra mileage for the solution. And recently we also incorporated an end-to-end PQC. So actually you get redundancy in your security, and this is anyway where all the field is going. And I'll be happy to answer your questions. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Haggai. And your slide emphasizes end-to-end QKD and PQC security at the bottom. How important do you see hybrid approaches in gaining trust from operators and regulators?
In principle, when QKD will be more broadly accepted, in principle, you can think that PQC will be redundant, but it serves in both ways. First of all, as a fallback solution, because sometimes we can have a difficulty to get to the endpoint of a network, or we can have some failure, and in that sense PQC is easier to maintain. On the other hand, PQC, we didn't start with PQC because we do believe in QKD, and there is a reason why the industry is looking for agility. It's because everyone is waiting for the day where we will see a paper like we saw 2 years ago that will announce that lattice codes were broken either with the classical computer or with the quantum computer. So this is the main advantage of QKD, that you install it now and you know that your data is safe forever, and I don't have to emphasize intercept now, decrypt later attacks, which are relevant to RSA today, but they can be relevant also to PQC in that sense. So the combination is necessary.
Thank you so much for your insight. Keep that chat going on in the chat function. So our next technology enabler of the session is Carlos Abelan, who's co-founder and CEO of Quside, a Spanish pioneer in quantum random number generation. Their QRNG modules are a real cornerstone of making QKD quantum safe. Carlos, please share your slide and tell us more.
Thanks, John. I'm trying to, let me give 1 second because I can't find my slide. Let me try again. No, there it is. Let me know if it's there.
Yep. If you
Excellent.
Perfect.
Good. So hi, everyone. Thanks a lot, the OPTICA team, for having us here. It's a pleasure to be part of the session. I'll talk to you quickly about Quside. We are a company based in Barcelona. We focus around the generation of random numbers. As most of you know, randomness is a foundational element of most cryptographic protocols, including QKD. So I'll focus around what we're doing on QKD in particular, but other than that, we're also focused on PQC integrations and PKI deployments. The core thing of what we're focused is improving the solutions today by adding this concept of local entropy verification. That means verification of the hardware in runtime. That's a unique element that is hard to get these days. We're a spin out of HEQA, strong on IP and then operating all over the world, mostly in data centers, space and defense. What we've built is a series of products that anchor the generation of randomness in photonic systems. We have 2 chipsets that you can see on the left slide. We call it the Ruby N1 and the Ruby S1. The main difference, well, there are slightly different physical principles behind, but one is optimized for performance, for gigahertz operation and entropy extraction. The other one is optimized for volume and cost. It can get up to 50 meg per second. So we're targeting slightly different use cases and applications for the different chips. And then out of those chips, what we do is we build products. We have 2 main product lines today. PCIe Express, what we call Garnet, is between 100 megs and a gigabit per second in general availability, and also an FMC form factor for FPGA-based systems, also between 100 megs and a gigabit per second. What we're launching now is a system on module family that is more compact, optimized again for volume, for 50 megabit per second. We're starting to deploy with an engineer with some of the customers, and that's will be general availability in 2026. We've got NIST certification and also certification from our National Security Agency. And on top of those form factors, we will also do system integration at the appliance level, and some people are deploying their own entropy as a service stuff, as what we did with Equinix earlier last year. Again, operating in space defense and data center, QKD is a very important market for us, specifically in space. We are engineering on several missions, and defense and data center is a combination of QKD and PQC upgrades. So what can we do for you? And hopefully with some of you, we're already doing it, but hopefully with more, we can deliver the randomness source for both transceiver, and that's for the performance optimized chips. We can deliver very high rates for space and ground. And then for the receiver, sometimes performance is not that needed, and therefore we can actually standardize on the lower speed chip and optimize for cost and volume. So again, love to answer any questions here or later. And thanks a lot for the Optica team.
Great, thank you, Carlos. And how easy is it for system vendors to integrate your modules into their QKD platforms?
So both PCI Express is just integrating some drivers and libraries, so it's a pretty straightforward development. It should not take you more than an afternoon, otherwise something's going wrong. The FMC integration, it's actually very standard for FPGA engineers, right? So you take a hardware and then you take the IP cores. It should not be that hard either. So we're talking about very standardized deployments. The system on module, there is PCB. Sometimes there may be PCB work involved because you really want it chip down on your board, and then of course there is some hardware involved, right? But overall, it's very standardized technology for electrical engineering type efforts.
Great, thanks so much, Carlos. And we're going to move to our next collaboration, who are very much integrating your QRNG platform. So we're going to move to welcome Victor Gomes, Director of Business Development for LuxQuanta, who are a European pioneer in continuous variable QKD with its next generation Nova LQ system. And from its partner, Juniper Networks, who are known for their AI native secure networking, we welcome quantum security lead Gert Grammel. Together, they've achieved a groundbreaking demo, delivering quantum safe point-to-multipoint encryption across live infrastructure. So I'm excited to hear more about this real-world deployment of QKD. Gert and Victor, I see your slide sharing. The floor and the attention of everyone is yours.
Okay, thank you, John. Thanks for having us here. Well, we're delighted to join together with Juniper and present this experience, this deployment that we have done together with other partners, not only Juniper. You can see here that we have different partners like Lintia and Mercury Cybersecurity. So this is a real use case deployment, providing a quantum safe private connection for the AWS cloud age, right? So we all know that data centers are considered a critical infrastructure by different governments and the European Union. So what we want to show here with this demonstration is how quantum resistant solutions can protect the data and provide a future-proof security also in case of quantum attacks. The interesting thing of this demonstration is also that we combine not only QKD, but also PQC, therefore providing a defense in-depth approach with different layers of protection. Okay. So if we go to the detail in the next slide, we can see how we can see the architecture for this deployment that is being envisioned for the AWS Direct Connect customers, right? So you can see on the left the AWS cloud with a virtual private cloud where the client can access the AWS services. In this case, the client is Lintia. On the middle, what we can see is a co-located data center where AWS has a point of presence. And basically, this co-located data center is functioning as an interconnection hub where AWS customers can access AWS network bypassing the public internet network, therefore providing a more secure and better communication channel to access their services. And then finally, on the right side, what we can see is the client data, the client databases, the client data centers. We have in this case 2 data centers that are belonging to Lintia. and they're connected with the collocation data center through two different links. One is a 5-kilometer link, and the other one is a 14-kilometer link. As you can see, the portion or the segment of the network that is protected by QKD is the cloud edge. This means the connection between the collocated data center and the client data center. And actually, it's important to note that we are working in a point-to-multipoint topology. This is some detail that I will explain a bit later. But on top of this, as I said before, we have implemented a defense-in-depth approach where we have an end-to-end quantum-resistant or quantum-resilient solution where we have implemented with our partners an IPsec tunnel that is using PQC algorithms. Okay, so let's say this is the overall picture of this deployment of this architecture. But as I said before, it's trying to bring into real use cases the QKD technology. But let's go a bit into something that is not so complex. So we can see the connectivity diagram for this point-to-multipoint QKD solution. As you can see, the three layers that compose the implementation. In the infrastructure layer, what we can find is the QKD solution provided by us, by LuxQuanta. This is based on NovaLQ CBQKD technology. Then on the middle layer, what we have is the KMS that is being provided in this case by Mercury Cybersecurity. So the KMS, of course, is storing and distributing the keys that are being generated by the QKD. And finally, on the third layer, what we have is Juniper that is consuming these QKD keys to encrypt the communication in a MACsec link. Okay, so we can see, of course, how in the case of the QKD, what we have is a transmitter that is placed in the collocation data center. So we actually have two receivers only in each of the client data centers. Therefore, what we achieve here is to minimize costs because we don't have to deploy two couples of systems. And this is a very interesting approach, of course. So, of course, what we achieve with the QKD devices is to generate a quantum channel to exchange the quantum states and generate these symmetric keys that are going to be passed along to the KMS through a NET 014 interface. And just to mention the advantage of NovaLQ technology, since it's based on continuous variable QKD technology, we use standard telecom components, which give us an advantage because of the stability and robustness of these components that allow us, first of all, to integrate easily into communication infrastructure, since we're using coherent technology, and also allows us to have much better maintainability and stability, which also allows us to scale in this kind of real production deployments. So now I will pass it on to Gert. That's going to cover the Juniper side. Please, Gert, over to you.
Thanks, Victor. Yeah, I think this was a great, let's say, use case here. And I would like to discuss a few things about the application of, let's say, QKD keys. Juniper is in the business of unimpeded secure services, so IPsec, MACsec. We need those keys in order to make sure that our services are really secure. And that's why we invested early on into quantum key distribution or interface into quantum key distribution. Just to say, the IPsec product is generally available since 2022 and can be ordered if you're interested. A few things here, because the argument has been brought up somewhere at the beginning. I think Kathy White touched a little bit upon it. One thing is about authentication. So there was a question about, okay, you need some, let's say, classic cryptography or PQC cryptography for authentication. This is correct, but in our implementation, in particular for IPsec, what we're doing is we're using the keys from the QKD system also for authentication, meaning let's say every so often we kind of re-authenticate the IPsec connection. with the help of QKD keys. This makes them quantum safe. The other point is that's a kind of a permanent discussion with many QKD system vendors, and we did some tests with a few guys here on this panel as well. It's about how many keys do you really need, right? And in essence, and many of them are kind of a little bit disappointed that we're using so few keys because they can deliver many more. However, if you're thinking about, let's say, security services, they're typically, let's say, secured with a symmetric key. And from a NIST perspective, you're supposed to change symmetric keys every 3 months. So that gives you a kind of, let's say, of a flavor of what you need to do. So, and that's obviously a frequency which is not very, let's say, very interesting for a demo. So we can obviously change it very much more often. But again, it gives you a bit of an idea of how many keys are really consumed by a service which is consuming symmetric keys. And this also gives a bit of a perspective of what the key or the qubit rate or the key generation rate really needs to be in a system, which is also helping sometimes a little bit with the distance, because I would predict that for many services, you really don't need the amount of keys that are advertised by many key distribution systems. You could do with less. Anyway, this is a matter that needs to be designed for a network, and we're working on getting this done. Here in this case, we were working on MACsec. As I said, IPsec is generally available, MACsec not yet. Here, there is the issue of standardization. MACsec, the way it is standardized right now, doesn't really help with exchanging key IDs. So we need to have a kind of a secondary mechanism to do that. However, we are hoping that going forward, there will be some extensions in the standard that would allow us to really leverage those key IDs that we get via the ETSI API and exchange them via the MACsec protocol. It's called MKA, Master Key Agreement. So that's the control protocol for MACsec encryption. Altogether, I think it was a very successful test here with all the partners. And also, I would like to acknowledge also Mercury. You did a great job in doing a lot of integration, and obviously also LuxQuanta.
Yeah, so just to wrap up the presentation, well, as Gerd just mentioned, this was a very successful proof of concept where we demonstrated how we can combine QKD and PQC in a defense in-depth approach. We successfully integrated multiple vendors. All these integrations based on the standards at ETSI 014. And we are taking many more steps towards the deployment of the QKD technologies in production-like environments. And actually, Amazon customers can enjoy of these solutions already, since, for example, like NovelQ is part of the Amazon marketplace at this point, right? So this is the approach we wanted to show today, and we're ready to answer any questions that you have, or just right now or later if you want. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Victor, and congratulations, Gert, on everything that you are achieving. Gert, I am really impressed by so many collaborations with the quantum community, not only with LuxQuanta, which looks fantastic, but you have collaborated also with Eurofiber, with Quantum Bridge. There seems to be like you have a good strategy on trying to find the best of every world. Where do you stand in the future of cryptography and networks? Is the coexistence of QKD and PQC the future? Is CVQKD the winner versus DVQKD? Give us a couple of hints that what you're learning from these collaborations.
Well, first of all, I have to say that, let's say, Juniper is really working on a kind of an ecosystem with QKD vendors, because in the end, we believe that our customers will eventually select the security solution they want to have. and it's up to us to make sure that the experience is seamless and to make sure that it's safe and everything works. So that's basically what we are concerned about. I don't want to go too much into CVQKD, yes or no, or DVQKD, the advantages. As I said, for the services that we provide, which are mainly around VPN, we do not really need a mass of QKD keys. We can do with less. And in terms of, let's say, collaboration and PQC, let's say well, PQC is one way of going forward, but if you look into the development of PQC, you would also see that, for example, in let's say in the open source community, sometimes, depending on the implementation, the PQC implementation is very slow. So that gives you, let's say, issues with scalability. Now, having some external QKD keys getting into the box helps with scalability in this sense. Now, I'm not suggesting that this will stay like that forever, but for the moment, let's say generating keys with PQC is a little bit slower or more, let's say, more heavy than what we have today with PKI.
Gert, Victor, we have a couple of questions for you coming in the chat. The first one is coming from company Colt. Colt is also very, very active in collaborations. They are working with Atran, with Siena, with ID Quantique, with Nokia, with Toshiba. Vijay Mahayan, thank you very much for joining from Colt. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so my question to Victor, maybe it's a really good presentation and good collaboration of Juniper and Lintia. So one small question on that slide, Victor, which you were presenting, is that finally, is it the quantum encryption is the keys are getting consumed by the MACsec channel or the optical network, because it was slightly contradicting. It was mentioned as protecting the optical network, whereas it's mentioned as MACsec encryption. So that's where it was a little bit confusing me. So I thought I'll ask that query maybe.
Yeah, so basically the keys are used for a MACsec encryption. Okay, so in this case, the deployment of the quantum channel is done with a dedicated fiber optics. Okay, so what we do is to establish this quantum channel within this fiber optics, and then the transmission of the data and the encryption is done on the other medium. Okay, so it's the answer is MACsec encryption. In any case, as you know, one of the advantages of CVQKD is that we could coexist also alongside the classical data, even in the C-band. And this is one of the advantages that we offer, since we have much more, let's say, robustness against the effects and the background noise generated by the classical data.
So maybe one small question, additional question on this CVQKD, Victor, if it can coexist the in the CVQKD, the quantum channel and the data. So if there is in the optical network, if there is a Raman amplification is there, so is that fine to carry even if there is a Raman amplification?
Yeah, this is fine. So we know how to countermeasure this kind of Raman noise. And as I think you might know that we have even published some, well, not us, but actually Telefonica in some of the papers that it was published, I think, in the OFC this year in April or March in San Francisco. They were presenting the practical implementations that they have done together with a technology coexisting, using the QKD quantum channel alongside the different data channels. And yeah, we can share this paper if you want, and we can maybe dig into this discussion because it's very interesting. But yeah, the answer is that we can deal with that kind of noise.
Perfect.
Victor,
sure. Thank you, Victor. Thank you, Jose.
Thank you, Vijay, and congratulations on what you're achieving with Colt. We are very impressed. Victor, this is great to have you here, seeing the development. There are a couple of people in the chat who are commenting that DVQKD is really for long distance, while CVQKD should be more for the short distance. We are running out of time because we have a lot of people today. Could you give us a statement? Because we saw your demo in Barcelona at the Mobile World Congress. So you seem to be debating that topic.
Yeah, well, I mean, currently the second generation of Nobel Q, which is the next generation that is available right now, we can manage 20 dBs of attenuation of our budget. So this allows us to reach 100 kilometers roughly, and we'll probably keep growing on the reach that we can deliver. And that puts us not really far from most of the DD vendors. So we're not very concerned about this. I think we can aim at metro networks at certain links that we can cover with these 100 kilometers, allow us to cover a lot of links already. And as I said, we're growing there.
One company in the chat all the way from Denmark, Fanofy, can help you with the transceiver for these long ranges. So I let the two of you connect, and I move to the next company because I'm going now, Victor, I'm going now to Toshiba. Because Luma Musa, who is the key account manager for quantum technologies at Toshiba, is here with us today to tell us where he stands on the QKD segment. Thank you very much, Luma, for being with us. The floor and the attention of the QKD community is yours. Luma, you're on mute, and that's the sentence of the pandemic 3 years after. Luma, you are still on mute. Let me see.
I am. Thank you very much. Yeah, sorry about that. Yes, I'll just share my slide as well. So if you just give me a minute, please. Here we go. Can you see my slide?
Not yet. So bottom of the Zoom window, green arrow up, and then you select the screen that you want to share with the universe. Mm-hmm. So bottom of the Zoom window, green arrow up.
Apologies about that. I
no
try
worries,
earlier.
because I'm seeing so many good friends in the channel right now, like Amir Gadini from Litium, revolutionizing the world with Team Field Legion. Nayabai, great to see you here. The company. Well, here we are. Luma, the slides are now visible for everyone. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Apologies
Can
about
you go
that.
presentation mode?
Of course.
Slideshow mode.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. I'd like to introduce you to Toshiba Europe's QKD. You've heard our name a couple of times now so far up till this moment. So I'll start by talking a little bit about how our background really is in research and development. And even though we currently have commercially available products that I will talk about in a minute, but we have extensive R&D in this area. So this is a list of some of the areas we work on. But in particular, I'd like to highlight in terms of talking about advances in QKD is the twin field QKD, satellite QKD, integrated photonics. We heard also somebody mention QKD on a chip, so we're working on that as well. And then single photon sources and quantum repeaters. We publish extensively on a lot of these areas, so that's where our strength comes from. In terms of our current product, we have this long-haul high-capacity QKD system that's available. You can see in the picture here, which is currently commercially available. Again, there's been some questions about how ready is QKD. Our product is available and has been deployed extensively in proof of concepts, in live networks, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But basically, we offer market-leading benefits and features in our products, in particular, high key rates. We offer 300 kilobit per second at 10 dB. It was mentioned by the last speaker, why do you need such high key rates? Yes, you do, because it depends on the number of users you have on your networks, how often you want to update your keys and change them. So key rates, as your network expands, is quite important. And then we have a very high optical loss budget of 30 dB. And the importance of that is it allows you longer distance links. And then we have a very high capacity coexistence system where we allow the multiplexing of DWDM data and the quantum channel onto the same fiber. And this is done by providing quantum channel in the O band instead of the C band. We also have an inbuilt key delivery system, which does the key management and the relay. This is integrated into the system that doesn't need an external server. And as has been mentioned by a couple of others, this seems to be a feature now. We have integrated PQC into our product. So we offer a QKD plus QKC, QKD plus PQC product. Our product is highly automated. It's very easy to integrate. So it has automated startup, automated alignment, and self-calibration. And that's what we have been aiming for, is providing a product that does not need a lot of skill to install and integrate. And then just talking a little bit about our global experience and exploitation. You heard already about the BT project, the Quantum Secure Metro Network we are doing in London with BT Group, as Kathy mentioned earlier. So that has been done building a ring network around London that provides connections to various customers that has been mentioned already by BT. We have provided various systems into the EuroQCI project that has been running now for a while, and its predecessor OpenQKD. But also very recently, we partnered with Orange Business in France for the first commercial quantum safe network service. This is live, available, and being offered to Orange's customers at the moment. So this is a very exciting project and development, really, in where QKD is going. And then just briefly, we have also partnered with Numana for a platform in Quebec. We are working with various partners, including NTT, on a Tokyo Metro QKD network, and finally with Spectral and ST Engineering to accelerate quantum secure comms in Southeast Asia. So I hope I haven't used much more of my 2-minute allowance, but just as a quick summary, yes, we have the high-performance quantum safe network available today, giving you long haul, high capacity, easy deployment, and then we are also backed up by our R&D for future networks. So
thank you very much, Luma, for a great presentation. There are many people who want to interact with you. They are telling me that in the chat, so please make sure that you follow up with all of them. I was quite curious that in your list of quantum R&D lines, you mentioned quantum repeaters. How dependent are we for having pure real quantum network deployments on these repeaters? Because I don't expect any to be commercially available in the short term.
No, they won't be, but they are quite important as you start talking about expanding your networks in the future. Absolutely, of going to point to multipoint and having networks that serve multiple connections and multiple customers. So yes, this will be quite critical for future networks.
It is quite critical indeed, and there are many people who want to offer them or solutions for them to Toshiba. So expect on this topic a lot of interaction. It is good that you also
I'll have a look and interact with some of the people. Sure.
The satellite QKD. So allow me to go to a next enabler, because when we talk about real deployments, one company that makes a big difference in the world and in Europe is Thales Alenia, and we are really happy to have here our next keynote, Dr. Laurent Deforge Deparny, who's here to tell us about how we can work closer with Alenia and how we can find room for collaboration. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Laurent, for being with us today. The floor and the attention of everyone goes to Thales. We are on mute. I don't think we can hear Laurent. So in the meantime, and allow me, because this meeting is live, allow me to go back to the Netherlands. Let's go back to the Netherlands, the city, the country of windmills and Karnemelk, to welcome to the floor one company that makes a huge difference in the world, the company Qubert. Ingrid has been deploying quantum networks for many years in many real environments, all the way to the harbor in Rotterdam. And they are here to tell us how they can integrate the technology of some of the companies so far and satisfy the needs of some of the end users so far. Ingrid, congratulations on what you're achieving. The floor and the attention of everyone goes to Qubert.
Thank you, Jose. Let me share my screen. Thanks for inviting me here. My name is Ingrid Romein. I'm one of the co-founders and CEO of Qubert. Our mission at Qubert is to provide quantum networking equipment, and our first devices, our first products are to be used for QKD, quantum secure data communications. But we have a technology that is actually upgradable and scalable towards more general purpose quantum connectivity, also known as quantum interconnects. So let me share you the basis of our technology. This is actually the architecture that many of the other companies are using in the typical CV or DV QKD as we know it. There's typically a sender and a receiver. They communicate about the status of their qubits and send keys to the encryptors. But every link consists of a sender unit and a receiver unit. And this poses some challenges in terms of scalability. What we do at Qubert, we use a different protocol called Measurement Device Independent QKD. What we do is we put the receiver unit in the center, and all the user end nodes are qubit transmitters. So if two users want to set up a quantum link, a QKD link, they each send a qubit to the center hub, and the center hub performs a quantum measurement, quantum entanglement measurement, sometimes also referred to as a Bell state measurement. When that measurement is successful, the two users can generate the first bit of their quantum key. And of course, this happens many times, and then in that way, two end nodes can set up a QKD session and generate quantum keys. This concept is inherently scalable. Each new user only needs an additional fiber pair to a center hub, as you can see in the picture here with 4 end nodes, to immediately generate a quantum connectivity to each of the other end nodes. So with one extra fiber pair, there are actually 6 QKD links possible between all of the 4 end nodes. So this is an inherently scalable design. Also, it is more secure. Because a lot of the side channel attacks that have been identified for QKD systems actually attack the receiver, the measurement device. In our system, the QKD keys, the key information is never known at the receiver. All it does is perform a quantum measurement, enable a quantum link. The key information is only present at the end nodes. So inherently, we are actually protected against all detector side channel attacks. Furthermore, it's also more cost effective. All the expensive equipment, we actually put it in the center hub. And each end node for a new user, for a couple of new users, they only need to buy one of these 2U boxes, which is relatively cheap compared to the detector unit. And what is for us very important, this same quantum entanglement measurement that is done in the center hub that enables the connectivity, the quantum link between a pair of end nodes, is the same type of measurement that is needed to connect quantum devices, like quantum processors or quantum sensors. So we have an essential building block for future quantum interconnects. Now let me quickly share a couple of the customers and partners we've worked with. We've worked with companies like Cisco, Juniper, working on IPsec and MACsec line encryption. We worked with Dutch bank organization, and as Jose already mentioned, deployed and installed our system inside the Port of Rotterdam. We've also installed our system in various educational and industrial data centers, as well as recently we have deployed a system at 4 locations of the Dutch government in their data centers. What's more, we are also going outside of the Netherlands. We've now installed systems in 6 European countries. One of them is actually a cross-border link between Belgium and Luxembourg. where we have a long distance link of 136 kilometers. Maybe to cover a couple of these points, our systems can cover 200 kilometer distance, 40 dB loss between pairs of end nodes. And so we've tested integration with all kinds of encryptor systems from the conventional network industry. To finalize with our roadmap, we see our systems really as enabling more exciting architectures. We can couple various center hubs that act then as a quantum relay station. So in these kind of architectures, each end node can exchange quantum keys with any of the other end nodes in the system. So this is really a scalable concept. And of course, we see a clear path towards a quantum internet, towards quantum interconnects in the future. Thank you.
Ingrid, thank you. Ingrid, thank you all. Thank you very much. There are a lot of questions in the chat for you, including one very interesting one from Colt. I let them follow up with you because now we go to Thales Alenia Space. Thales, I hope you like the presentation of Ingrid as much as I did. It is great to have you here. Laurent, the floor is yours.
Hello.
Tell us
Yeah, thank
how
you.
we can work closer with you. The floor is yours.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, it was great. Thank you very much for the invitation. And I will share my screen. Just tell me if you see my screen. Okay.
We don't see your screen, but we see you.
Yeah.
Looking great.
Okay.
Crystal clear. Go ahead.
Yes. Okay. So I will speak about quantum key distribution, but also quantum information networks. So in fact, in Thales Alenia Space, so we are in the Thales group. In the Thales group, we are working on security systems. So we are working on PQC, QKD, and also quantum information network. And particularly, I am in Thales Alenia Space. So this is the part of Thales group, which is developing satellites and system satellites. And so we are working on two topics on our side, which are shared quantum state. So we call this quantum information network, and these networks are using entanglement. And we are also working on quantum cryptography, so QKD, quantum key distribution, where Alice and Bob are sharing 0 and 1 in a random way. And this is a secret key, and you can use it to cipher your communication for communication security. And in fact, in Europe, there is a big program called EuroQCI for quantum communication infrastructure. And the aim of this program is to develop quantum communication infrastructure that are using qubits, so with linear superposition, but also entanglement. And the first step is to move towards a QKD network in prepare and measure, because this is easier to manipulate attenuated laser source and run, as many presenters have spoke before, run the protocol BB84 or decoy state BB84. So this is a prepare and measure protocol, and where you share qubits, and if the distance is too large, you have to use trusted nodes to propagate the key in the network. And the other topic, quantum information networks, is in fact based on entanglement sharing. So if you share entanglement, if Alice and Bob share entanglement, then they can run another type of protocol, which is a quantum teleportation. And with that, you can connect the future quantum computers for delegated computing or blind computing, so something like that. But you can also do QKD based on entanglement. And I will speak about that in this presentation. So most of you are maybe not aware of what the Chinese have done with their satellite. So since 2017, many experiments have been performed with the Michiu satellite. So it's a Chinese satellite developed from many quantum communication experiments. And they have published a lot of papers that you can read on open access. And what is very interesting is that they have shown that using the satellite, they can extend the range of QKD. So it's not fiber based, because the satellite, of course, you cannot connect the satellite with a fiber, but this is a free space propagation. And they have performed entanglement distribution, QKD with entanglement, but also QKD in prepare and measure with prepare and measure protocols, and over very large distances. In fact, it works all around the globe. And so, we are convinced that if you want to develop a worldwide quantum QKD infrastructure, you will need satellite, and we are working on that. So if I summarize, so quantum information networks, as I said, you need to distribute entanglement between the users. So here the users we call the quantum ground station. So it's telescopes that are moving and they are tracking the satellite, and the telescopes receive the qubits, the entanglement photons, and you can perform teleportation or QKD. And in the right part of the presentation, this focuses on the QKD. So QKD, you can also use entanglement, but the Chinese have shown that the rate is much lower than in prepare and measure. So that's why most of the programs which involves satellite, they are focusing on QKD in prepare and measure with attenuated sources to run the decoy state BB84 protocols. But if you think at the step after the QKD network in prepare and measure, it will be based on entanglement distribution. And we are very interested by this kind of networks, so quantum information networks. And the aim of that is to share entanglement and to think about entanglement as a service for connecting people all around the world. So in fact, quantum information networks could be called the quantum internet. And you can share qubits, but you can also secure communication with QKD with that. And we have programs with ESA, CNES, and the Space Agency. So CNES is a French space agency. There is also the Italian Space Agency and the European Commission. So they support this kind of program. And so if Alice and Bob have entanglement, then what can you do with that? You can connect the quantum computers, more precisely the quantum chip inside the quantum computer. You can think about delegated quantum computing or blind computing. So we are investigating this application, these use cases. So this is mostly based on quantum teleportation or quantum swapping. And you can also think about connecting quantum sensors for typically military application. If you pull the quantum sensors, then the performance increases exponentially. And that means that the precision of the measurement could be increased in principle. Of course, this is very complex to do, but in principle, it could increase exponentially. And you can measure very precisely gravity or accelerometer. You can do accelerometer, gravimeter, but with a much higher performance. And as I said, you can also use quantum information networks for securing the communications with QKD. And by the way, we have published a paper where we explain this. So this is a link below. And for developing such networks, of course, we need providers because we cannot make all the system building blocks. We are not developing it alone. And so we need partners, and we need partners for developing the quantum space source, so the entanglement photon source or the attenuated laser source for prepare and measure QKD. And we need also quantum ground stations, so the telescopes that are moving and tracking the satellite. We need QKD modules, so Alice and Bob with LKMS as a key manager system, and trusted node also. And for quantum information network, we will need, and this is a step after a pure QKD network, but we will need quantum memories to store the qubit for typically for Bell state measurements or for consuming the qubit when the user will need it. And so that's very important for us to work with people who are developing quantum memories. And I thank you for your attention.
Laurent, thank you so much for sharing the work you're doing at Thales Alenia Space. Fascinating.
You're welcome.
It gives us a great segue into the next talk. Please carry on the chat, the questions in the chat.
Yeah, no problem.
On time, so we will dive forward. But you know, you asking for partners segues us brilliantly into the next talk. So join me in welcoming Dimitri Gaskas from Chilas, whose ultra-stable telecom band lasers like Polaris and Comet a perfect match for QKD hardware requirements. He'll be speaking in a collaboration with Jan Heine from Twin Photonics, who are innovating fully chip-integrated entangled photon sources. So, Dimitri, Jan, the floor and the attention of everyone is yours.
Thank you, John. Thanks for the nice introduction. So what we're just seeing, sit back, relax, this is an easy story. This is only about simple photons, but all the applications we have seen so far rely on photons and high precision photons. Well, that's what is Chilas' hobby, and this is what we're presenting there. For these quantum key distributions, we typically need very narrow linewidth lasers and sometimes to hit a specific wavelength lasers, specific wavelengths there. And the way to do that is basically by external cavity lasers or fiber lasers. Well, we integrated our laser onto a chip and we extended the cavity, in this case of silicon nitride, and there is a filter circuit there to feed back only one wavelength back to the cavity, and the laser starts oscillating at that wavelength. And what you get in result is you get fairly high output powers, up to 50 milliwatts out of such a system. A very narrow line width, below 1 kilohertz line width, and a very broad tuning range, exploiting the full gain bandwidth of the available gain. With this technology, we have made 3 basic products now, and we've got the Chilas Atlas, which is just tunable laser. Excellent to address wicked wavelengths, so I call it. And the Comet is a swept source, less applicable for now for the call of quantum applications. And then we've got the stabilized lasers, which you buy on the ITU grid channel, and which has an excellent noise performance. So here we highlight a little bit on the Atlas 1550, which is a tunable laser over 100 nanometer tuning range, so super C band, SCL band it scans over, and you've got a very narrow line with below 1 kilohertz and a very nice side mode suppression ratio. You see a little bit of the intrinsic line width there, and this laser finds its way in many applications, also including quantum key distribution. Now we also have quantum sensing and other wavelengths, so the Atlas is also tailored with another amplifier section there. So we've got around 685 where we find some quantum sensing applications, and you saw this from Thales as well. There is a lot of applications going on there, and also there we've got some collaboration there. Well, one of the applications where our laser find our place is that since it's based on microchip technology, there are no moving parts there. This thing is excellent for satellite communication, and there also secure quantum key distribution or quantum communication, encrypted communication is one of the things that people do with our laser. We've got some subsidy projects. One big project is a Quarter project, where we collaborate with some of the speakers over here as well. And well, actually here LuxQuanta is drawing the show there at Quarter. And for that, we develop a dedicated laser that really fits their application. And we are currently developing more things. We've got quite a number of expertises under the hood, so we can do full integration of that and customization there as well. And well, together with LuxQuanta, we also now in a role of follow-up activity that we don't have the TLAS laser next to their engine, but have it TLAS inside their quantum key distributor system embedded into their system. And I think this is the way forward for further integration of light source into the application, miniaturizing even further. Within the Adequata, also European project, we've got a lot of collaborations going on there. We only provide the light source, and this project is more focused on quantum sensing. And there is a quantum sensing developed, and where we make the laser system for to trigger this this quantum effect. A little bit about another example of how we collaborate within the environment there. So we make lasers, light sources. We have the structures of light sources. We work together with Epiphany, a design house for photonic chips. They can do many more platforms. We've got a lot of experience with the silicon nitride of Lyonix International, but we're not bound to Lyonix International. For assembly purposes, we can partner up with Fix, which is just across the street. So we really have here in Enschede and in radius 100 meters, a lot of infrastructure there where we can boost our technology and display things. And then also this collaboration work together. And then Twin Photonics has been founded in the beginning of this calendar year. And Twin Photonics makes on the same material platform, basically, an excellent source for entangled photon sources. And the guy telling more about Twin Photonics is in the show. So I hand over the floor to Jan Heijnen from Twin Photonics. Thank you.
Don't hear Jan.
No, I'm not able to hear Jan. Jan, you're not muted, but maybe physical switch.
I'm very sorry. That's my technical error of the day. Repeating myself. Thank you, Dimitri, for the awesome segue here. Yeah, I'm happy to be here today and talking about our efforts in pioneering on-chip quantum light sources, more specifically entangled photon sources, using the HELAS laser integrated into our nonlinear platform. I'm also very happy to hear the talk from Laurent just before us from Thales, talking about entanglement sharing, and that's exactly what you can do with our source. So our solution is a on-chip source of entangled photons, fully packaged, a turnkey solution. It's a hybrid silicon nitride and indium phosphide integrated design that can be supplied with an electronic driver. So you really only need to put in current and you get out entangled photons into convenient telecom fiber. Thanks to photonic integration, it is super stable and reliable because nothing moves, no moving parts, as Dimitri also said. Could also be very interesting for space applications because you don't need mirrors, you don't need realignment. The whole thing operates at room temperature, another amazing feature. Right, our current solution works in the telecom C-band, but we can do other wavelength ranges, so we're not limited to the telecom C-band. We can do, for example, the O-band. A lot of people today talked about the O-band for carrier of quantum information, especially when you want to use it in conjunction with classical data on the C-band. We can also do specific wavelength ranges in the near-infrared region if you're interested in that. Our source can supply time bin and frequency bin entanglement. Specifically, frequency bin entanglement is interesting for high-dimensional encoding for discrete variable entanglement-based quantum key distribution that has the potential to really be more noise resilient, and you can supply more keys per photon basically by using a high-dimensional encoding. We can also supply on request on-chip basis analyzer modules for time bin quantum key distribution applications, where you can do the interference in multiple time bins and then reconstruct your send and receive basis states. Yeah, just to summarize, so photonic integrated circuits, amazing, very compact. They are completely stable, so no moving parts. Electricity goes in our case, entangled photons come out. With this integrated platform, we can do a lot of prototyping and customization for your specific quantum key distribution needs, whereas you prefer a certain wavelength, whereas you prefer a certain spacing of your frequency bins or your time bins, or any other kind of customization that you can think of. And thanks to photonic integration, we have really a path to scalable manufacturing. So we can go from single prototypes, as we are in the stage currently, we can go to really volume manufacturing in a very short amount of time. Yeah, and with that, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to your questions.
Dimitri and thank you both for joining, sharing your great innovation. I'm sure there's some new collaboration to be made, which we've discussed. Please keep talking in the chat, and I'm going to move swiftly on to welcome Simon Patkovich, who's the Vice President of Quantum Safe Solutions at ID Quantique, who've been mentioned a few times already. They continue to define the quantum safe ecosystem, and now as part of IonQ, they're uniquely positioned at the nexus of quantum computing and secure networking solutions. Simon, welcome to the meeting. Please tell us more.
Thank you very much, John. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Is the slide up?
It is.
Fantastic. Well, great pleasure, and I really enjoyed all the presentations up until here. A lot of innovation and a very busy domain. So yeah, as you showed at the beginning in the intro, we were acquired by IonQ. So it's a great story. And as you know, they also acquired Qubitech, which gives us this entangled based QKD angle and a lot of talent in that field. LightSync, it's a photonic interconnect company. Oxford Ionics, which is a chip compatible ion trap tech to help scale the hardware, which in a way also puts us in a really amazing position to be able to look at quantum computing from the inside and the race to Shor's algorithm.
IONQ, Ionic.
Sorry, yes, IonQ acquired Oxford Ionics, yes, and Capella's satellite tech, which is, I think, a great topic as well, because we've heard a lot around satellites, so which gives us a lot of ability to project into global QKD and QKD-based systems that interconnect huge geographies. So for today, I wanted to make it relatively straightforward for two main topics. What is new in this year outside of the acquisition? So as some of you already are aware, we do prepare and measure inside IDQ, BB84, and that we've been scaling that across telecom and enterprise and financials across the world. You're all familiar with our Singtel project and Korea project, and a couple of large banks have been onboarding QKD as well in a dual strategy where they also use PQC and QKD for different layers, which some of you have discussed, which is fantastic. And we're pushing forward also with additional use cases, which is edge connectivity. So outside of pure quantum communication, where you do have access to these high quality optical links, where we can do very large mesh ring and other topologies for large companies. You also have a need to scale distances other ways, and we've recently done a POC to go over SATCOM with a new product which we launched earlier in the year called Solteris Network Appliance, which is a unit with QRNG and uses algorithmical security to also do out-of-band key exchange and function on the same plane for edge use cases where there is no access really to good optical cabling, or for instance for maritime where simply there is no fiber optical cabling. So this is a fantastic product that pretty much market demanded for us. So it's a complete suite with QKMS on top, key management platform, which we called Clarion KX at IDQ. And I think the second topic that I think would be very useful, it's also very timely for this year, is that we have managed to work with national security evaluation in South Korea with 5 different bodies over a 3-year period to undergo a very strict set of evaluations, security evaluations. And we have received in February this year, between January and February, the final approval for meeting the national requirements for security. Now, as you may know, South Korea is a signatory and part of producing nations in the common criteria. So what they've done, they have put all of their know-how into setting up a very comprehensive set of optical, cryptographic, and software tests and assurances that we have gone through until February for almost 3 years. So I think that's a great news for the whole industry. And I hope you can see also on the slide some of this process and the final certificate. And I think this gives assurance to customers, to the enterprise, to the real world commercial entities looking to migrate to quantum safe, which is now the period for that, to onboard this technology into their particularly data interconnect, data center interconnect, cluster interconnect, data center clusters, and cluster to cluster or cluster interconnect use cases, and beyond, as I mentioned, over SATCOM with more of a software type solution. So that's it in a nutshell. I tried to be very brief, but I wanted to bring these couple of big news to make sure everybody's aware of them, and also to give a bit more explanation of this new family of quantum, leading quantum companies under IonQ umbrella.
Thank you so much, Simon. And I really think the first company to receive national security approval is really important for the industry. So thank you very much for joining and sharing that with us. So I'm going to move swiftly on to introduce Tommaso Occupinti, who's the CEO of QTI, or Quantum Telecommunications Italy. They've been a pioneer as well in QKD solutions and their full stack QualX system, for example. But they've also got customer-driven innovation, like the recently announced HEQA, which they announced in the World of Quantum in Munich. So Tommaso, please tell us more.
Thank you very much, John. So do you see my screen?
We do, thank you.
Okay, so just a few words about us, in the sense that we'd like to emphasize that we were born in 2020, so quite long ago, but as soon as we incorporated, we had the great investment of a telecom operator in our company. So this positions us as a quantum telecommunication company with the working and with the in the environment of the telco. So we really stress in our conferences and what we are doing around the world that we create complete systems for QKD and the key management of the keys, and we will see also another product very soon. So, but we make this kind of products compatible with existing networks, in particular complex existing network. So just continuing the story, we can say that we are quite a young company, in the sense that we are 40 people, very, very super technical and smart and young. Let's say I am probably one of the oldest. Okay, so and with this, let's say, thing, we can say that we contribute, as I already said, to the industry with super stable and super easy to integrate systems, but also we contribute to the research with keeping our products and services attached to the best technologies and let's say future developments of the worldwide. Speaking about the products, you mentioned that we presented. Also, I thank you. I thank really OPTICA to help us to present to the world also our new product that is HEQA, which is an hybrid cryptographic platform. Essentially, it's a key management entity that integrates PQC algorithms and also the quantum random number generator inside the system. So this enables us to essentially implement quantum key distribution networks, easy for us. I mean, it's our historical product, with also networks that lacks the fiber optics, for example, or for example must be dynamically changed because some customers has a network that change in time. So with this kind of product can be they can rearrange the system. They rearrange the network in order to spread the keys in a quantum manner by means of mainly quantum key distribution, but if it is necessary, also with post-quantum cryptography. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Tommaso, for sharing your position in the ecosystem and your new products. Really exciting from QTI. So we're going to move to now to Think Quantum and Marco Laminato, who's the business developer and strategic project manager. Think Quantum offers, again, truly European developed QKD and QRNG platforms across fiber, free space, and satellite. So please tell us more, Marco.
Okay. So thanks for the invitation. Let me know if you can see the slide and if you hear me properly.
I can hear you well. You just go into presenter mode and that's it. We see it properly. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. So Think Quantum is again a quite young company, as it was born in 2021. Actually a spin-off from the University of Padua, which in turn actually has more than 20 years of pioneering within the let's say quantum communication field. So it has been delivering record new technology patents all the way through these 20 years, and Think Quantum brought this technology into the market. The two lines of a product that we have currently running and have been developed across Europe in the last few years are on one side our QKD system, which is the QKD platform, which is a DV QKD system based on the BB84 protocol with decoy states. We have three different versions when it comes to this platform. One for, let's say, standard needs of network, one for the extended range that allow us to achieve the 30 dB range without adopting SNSPT detector, which is the possibility that we would provide with the third version of our devices, which is mainly, let's say, adopted by a research institute, but not only. And in that case, we can also achieve dB losses in the range of the 50 dBs. So depending on the need, we have the different need with different versions. One of the key features, of our system is also the ability to use one single fiber for the communication between transmitter and receiver, as we do not need any dedicated fiber for the synchronization between the two devices. We have, let's say, dedicated protocol that allow us to make the synchronization within the same fiber in which the quantum communication occurs. So in this regard, this is a key point when it comes to save resources in already existing networks. We have also our own QRNG, which is on the other side also the second line of product that we provide as a standalone device, but the QRNG is also implemented within the QKD, and we have made it in a way that we allow the system to work in a direct stream with no need of pseudo-random expansion between the source of entropy, so our QRNG, and the QKD itself, which is also one added value when it comes to the security of the system. As I said, the QRNG is provided also as a standalone devices because it can serve application other than the ones of the quantum communication, like for instance, providing quality data for scientific simulation, just to say the first, let's say, area that the QRNG itself can be implemented in. But our technology, let's say, is not limited to the terrestrial domain, in which we also provide technology for the space domain as well. Our platform, the QKD platform, is the one that we built our technology upon, and we have a free space optical system that allow us also to connect 2 points ground to ground, in which there is no, for different reasons, fiber deployed, or in which you may need to have a relocatable system. And we have also, with the same technology, the ability also to provide QKD receiver that stays, let's say, paired with optical ground station on a terrestrial domain, and allows the communication with satellites, which we can provide also the transmitting payload. So ThinQuantum is positioning itself not just as a terrestrial QKD provider, but as a terrestrial and space QKD provider.
Thank you very much, Marco, for a great presentation. It is so great to have you here. From the very beginning, since the first time that I met your colleagues, we saw ThinQuantum as making a difference on bringing quantum technologies in markets where reliability was a must. Reliability was what makes you different. How is the current deployment of technologies in the markets? Are companies still having doubts on the current reliability of the technology? Have you already proved that with data?
No, I think that technology itself is validated, I would say. Now it's the time in which, let's say, large company, telcos, and so forth are also refining their business case and their business model on top of technology. But I said we have been developing, so deploying our system since a few years now, and the robustness is something that we are providing with data now. So it's not just about something that we can, let's say, on a marketing perspective, say is something that we can prove with data now.
Congratulations, Marco. Many of the companies are going to follow with you. So please make sure that you use the chat, and afterwards we'll introduce all the partners together. Stay with us, Marco, because the last presentation today, we are almost at the end of the meeting. The last presentation today coming from QSA Technology, I prepared for a potential collaboration with you. But before we go there, allow me to give the floor to a very good friend of mine, a company that is really here is helping companies in QKD and PQC with the simulation. I'm talking, of course, about OptiWave, and I would like to give the floor to Ahmad. Thank you very much, Ahmad Gatier, for being with us today.
Thank you, Jose, and hello, everyone. Thanks for allowing us to share here our software product. So let me share. First thing is OptiWave is a software company. As we saw here, most of this presentation were hardware. And this is an important aspect, is to also include simulation and software analysis for your design system. And OptiWave offer a collection of software packages, which is addressing the component level and system level, as well as the instrumentation level. So there is 3 different levels of software, which enables you to be able to design the whole system, analyze it in a different channel over fiber, over free space optics, over even using satellite communication, UAVs, and so on. We enable the user also to integrate our software internally between the different packages, like you can integrate this software with the grating designs, with mode solvers, with instrumentation, with the SPICE for photonic integrated circuit analysis. As well, you can do integration with external software. So you can use MATLAB, you can use Python. You can use even other vendors like Lucida, like Siemens in our software packages. So you have a capability of have a full solution of simulation suite to enable, like, for example, your quantum key distribution. In OptiWave, we offer lots of components. We have over 610 components, which is have models for the devices and modules. So you can have, this is a kind of sample of these components, which is being used for quantum key distribution, which, like, for example, you have single photon detectors, the photon number resolving, you have switches which can be randomly selected, and many more. We enable simulation software for designing discrete variable or continuous variable quantum key distribution. And finally, I wanted to pass this message to you guys. We have kind of developed a new technology which, for continuous variable quantum key distribution, can be integrated with transceivers directly. We are looking for partners to kind of license the technology, because we are not a hardware company, we are a software company. We'd like to pass this kind to the market and hopefully collaborate on making this technology in the field. Thank you very much.
Ahmad, congratulations on what you're achieving. To be honest, I'm a user of the OptiWave solutions, and I'm extremely happy with the user interface and the speed. You really are making a big difference in the world. Ahmad, thank you very much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, at these kind of meetings, we always like to save the most innovative solutions for the end. We are really happy to welcome to the stage a newcomer to the OPTICA network for the first time ever at an OPTICA event, Dan Stelinga, the CTO of QSA Technology, a company making groundbreaking solutions in the field of photonic chip-based authentication. I am so happy to see you today, Dan. The floor and the attention of everyone is yours.
Thank you very much. My name is Dan Stelinga. Thank you for the introduction. I represent Quantum Secure Authentication Technologies, QSA Technology. Our core product is an optical photonic unclonable function, which essentially attempts to address the authentication issue that's been mentioned by many people in this talk today. So at our core, we're a physical unclonable function that's fully optical addressable, so requires no electronic readout at the location of the physical unclonable function. However, where it really gets interesting for QKD purposes is where we can use quantum states to do the readout of these puffs and make sure that our system is completely future-proof. So our systems are photonic integrated circuits on silicon nitride chips at the moment, but we can do it on any platform where we can show that the optical response of these chips is completely unique from one chip to the next. Using this approach, we can use a few photon challenge response pair to prove remotely that someone holds this chip locally. This provides a completely new way of authenticating a remote node that's completely orthogonal to existing PQC methods or pre-shared key approaches. And therefore, we expect this to be of interest to this community. Our systems are completely compatible with existing infrastructure for especially DV QKD systems, because we do require single photon detectors and the like. However, we envision our system being integrated close enough that we can probably share the single photon detectors that are currently in use for parties that are interested to get really close in integration. So yeah, that's kind of our project. We're a very young company. We're only incorporated 2 months ago, so we're very much still in the development phase, but we're very hopeful to start discussions with people in this community.
Congratulations, Dan, on what you're achieving, and the whole team, including, of course, Thomas Kraus. Thomas Kraus, you really are doing a big impact on this industry, and we are more than happy to support it with all your needs when it comes to new silicon nitride platforms, the packaging, the software for designing. All of it is here in OPTICA, and of course, the customers and end users. Thank you very much for joining, and stay with us, because even though the meeting is gonna be finished now, I would like to remind everyone that after these meetings, we always have the possibility to stay for a follow-up discussion with the rest of the attendees in the final drink. Before we go there, I would like This meeting was free of charge for all of you, thanks to the amazing support of Legend Tech, OptiWave, and Think Quantum. The corporate members of Optica use Optica to find potential partners, suppliers, and customers. I hope to see you more often at our online events, but also at our face-to-face meetings. And in a couple of weeks, we are meeting in Malaga, 7-8 October, Global Photonics Economic Forum. See you there. Okay, we're done. So allow me to ask my IT department to switch off, to cut with scissors the live stream. And now let's have a drink. Let's have a drink all together and celebrate. This is when we are in a conference, and then we go to the